What's up? What's up? This is Adri,
And Alyssa,
and you're listening to.
chat in the hat.
So, we're going to have a quick
Okay.
episode for you guys today. This is our
Wow.
weekly listener hat. Josh has to go back to work. Alyssa has a meeting. We are busy people.
Moving
So,
and grooving right on through this. So if
making
it
that
feels
money for
rushed,
the IRS.
that's us and we can quit our jobs.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I
Somebody
have the hat.
sponsors.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Awesome.
See.
So Alyssa's got the hat. She's gonna do a
Oh,
draw.
okay. Well, this is therapy.
Oh,
So
okay.
I could probably use it. I don't go. What else? Podcasts
So
are my therapy.
I think it's interesting that we brought this up because I actually got a massage this morning, and I was talking to the lady about
That's the wrong kind of therapy.
it is that kind of therapy. But we were talking about therapy and how, like, I personally believe that everyone should do it, but I think even kids, like starting kids off with therapy at a young age, because we were on the topic of like trans and a lot of that because we both have kids in school and it's come up a lot lately. So anyways, we were just talking about how therapy is super valuable and I think could be helpful for children as they're growing up in this crazy world with so much changing and social media and all these pressures. But I digress.
Yeah, I think that kids should be on, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but I don't even think kids should be on social media like at all until they're
100%.
18 and out the door and like making their own life decisions. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure like
I think
the people who
everybody
built
should do therapy. The problem that I see with therapy is that it is not that accessible for most people because most insurance, it's already difficult to get insurance in this country. And then you get insurance, and then most insurance doesn't cover therapy sessions. And most therapists, or at least here in California, like minimum $125 a session. And with the like cost of just existing, I mean, like literally the poverty line here where I live is like something absurd, like $130,000 a year, or it might not be exactly that, but it's above $100,000 a year is like considered the poverty line. So I just think it's too inaccessible. I know there are things that have come out like BetterHelp, which I think is great, but like personally, like I know that's a more financially sound way, but I do not feel comfortable doing a virtual thing like for therapy. Like I already know it's going to be a very intimate situation, and like just the possibility that my window's open and my neighbor's walking by and like overhears, like I don't feel comfortable with that. So I'm back in the first boat of can I afford to go? And so I think that is a big problem with it in general.
mean, I feel like you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons because I do therapy. I'm an active attendee. I do it every other week, and I do it from home. It's not through one of the apps, but through my employer, we get so many sessions per year, which is awesome. So I'm grateful for that. But I do it from home. And for me, like having somebody overhear it, which I doubt, but is like the least of my worries because I'm trying to talk about things. So I don't do it when my kids are home. I usually book it when, there's not a lot of people around and I work from home. So I guess that's a little bit different, but I feel like the benefits of doing therapy, whether it's from home or in person or on a phone or whatever you want to do, is like far outweighs the risk of somebody eavesdropping and hearing your trauma as a child. You know what I mean? Which is unlikely.
Yeah, but you also have to factor in, you live in North Carolina where the houses are a little bit more spread out. Like you probably have a solid, at minimum, 20 feet between your house and your neighbor's house. My neighbor is literally like the width of a driveway away from my living room window. My neighbor on the other side is an easement. It's like a walkway smaller than a sidewalk. And then I have
Yeah.
people that live behind me. So you have
Yeah.
any window, and my windows are open all the time. So you literally have people like within feet of you at all times. So
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, it's not like, oh, they might barely overhear me. Like, it's pretty clear if you just like yell at the TV during a sports game, the whole neighborhood hears you. We hear
Yeah.
our neighbor across the street, like, oh my God, you know which team they're rooting for
So I
based
guess
on.
you have to weigh it out. I mean, you do this show from your office, so theoretically you could do that from your office if you wanted.
Oh yeah, but they can hear me. That's why like I don't like doing it during the day because like I have my employees sitting right outside this door and they can
Oh.
hear me. Like like it's
But
not
there
clear.
are
Like the sound is better, but I mean they can if they can hear me in here. It's not like soundproof.
yeah.
So definitely not doing it.
Yeah.
But
Which
anyways,
I think is probably not a lot of people's main concern. To your earlier point, I think it's just accessibility and affordability,
yeah.
which
Yeah, it
is
feels like a luxury and it shouldn't feel like a luxury.
right.
It should be
Agreed.
part of our healthcare system.
Agreed. I
Yeah.
think if people work for larger companies, I think it is more popular now to offer some kind of free therapy, but a lot of people don't even know that. Like, I work for a very large company, but I guarantee you that half the people, probably at least, don't even know that you get free sessions a year. You have to really look for that information because it's not through your health insurance provider, it's through a different program, which I always look to see what's available. But a lot of people don't do that. And it even applies to kids. So, like, if my kids wanted to do it, I could get them in, and I have used it for other things like with Jackson. But I think definitely people should look into it if you work for a larger company, see if you have any free programs available to you. If not, a bar is always a great place for therapy.
Yeah.
Go
Josh, you
sit
have
at the
anything you
bar,
want to chime
find
in on?
some alone schmuck who looks really sad.
I can't speak from the same point of view. I have multiple means of getting to therapy that are super accessible because
Ugh, well,
I have access through the VA. So there's a walk-in
Yeah.
clinic. You can get assigned to therapists. You can get assigned to a psychologist. There's inpatient, outpatient, like so every means of which therapy comes in. I can do virtual sessions. I can do in-person sessions. I can
Yeah.
add extra sessions last minute. So it's hard for me to really relate because I have access to
Well,
the
not in that regard,
Veterans
but obviously you
Affairs.
are an attendee.
Yeah, regular. I go every Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Very good. All
Yeah,
right.
which
but
is that's good. And I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
realize the VA made it so accessible because I think, there is a lot of vets who have so many mental ailments from wars and
that's a
traumatic.
whole
Yeah.
that's a whole nother like topic really. The VA is not a tricky system, but it does take legwork on the veteran to
Yeah.
get set up, and so there's a lot of things that come into play, like your discharge status. If you're dishonorably discharged, unfortunately, you lose access to the VA, but anyone with an honorable discharge gets access. But in order to have access, you have to do the paperwork and go through the
Mhm.
process of getting your VA healthcare set up. And then there's different means depending on a bunch of different factors of how much access you get.
They're
But
like, you
Yeah.
are
so
crazy. We're giving you
it's
max amount.
no. So basically, like the VA healthcare system, there's
Go
different
see me
tiers,
twice a
and
week.
it's like depending on how disabled you are, they have different ways of rating disability status, dictates what tier of VA healthcare you get. So like the lowest tier is just like regular health insurance. When you go to the VA, you pay a copay, you have certain allowances, and then above a certain percentage, you get just free healthcare, free to you. But it's all dictated by that. So there's all these different things that play into it. So the other thing is the VA is not streamlined across like the state to state. So New Mexico is a really big hospital with a lot of resources and not a huge population, so it's pretty open. But then you have other states like California and Texas that maybe have one or two VA hospitals for the entire state, and you have way more people. So the wait
Yeah.
lists are longer, the amount of
Yikes.
providers is less. So
Yeah, so it
it's
makes it challenging.
it's definitely challenging. It's not as easy as just like, I'm a vet. Like, that doesn't mean you necessarily have VA healthcare, but fortunately I do. So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
almost
it's-
like they don't want us to get therapy.
no,
They're
no,
like,
no.
how many hoops are you willing to jump through?
Yeah.
How motivated are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
tricky.
I think that it's
Even before I started using the VA, I had a private healthcare therapist, and it's the same thing where I just had to find a provider. Like, and my insurance didn't cover all of it. I had a copay, but it was a mental health copay, and
Mhm.
I just had to find a provider that accepted my insurance, just like any other health treatment. You can't just like pick a doctor. You have to find one who accepts your insurance and whatever. So yeah, it's definitely not easy, but
Yeah.
insurance, most of them have some sort of mental health stipulation now because there is
Yeah.
more importance with it. So I'm finding that more and more providers here are accepting more and more different insurance plans at different levels. But it's definitely behind the curve for sure.
Yeah.
I think it took me like 6 or 7 months to find someone to get set up with before I went to the VA. And then since using the VA, that also took a couple months, but
Oh,
it is
another
tricky.
thing that what I found to be challenging is when I was like, okay, I'm going to start therapy. I reached out to 3 different therapists. One of them was like, I said, I would need it any day you have, like in this time frame. And no, she was like, only had one thing available. And then the other 2, like just straight up, like didn't even get, I'm like, okay, so if the therapist that you're finding, like, don't get back to you already, immediately discouraged. I'm like, I've reached out to 3 people and one person's like, I have noon on Tuesdays. And I'm like, well, I can't go in on a Tuesday at 12. Like,
Yeah.
I need something within either, and I gave my time. So that was discouraging. And then people just straight up not getting back to you. I was like, I guess you're not taking new clients. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so I would say that's kind of a problem in the industry as well. And because
It
I'm not the
is.
only person that I've heard has had that issue. With,
It's kind of like dating, like you have to
Ugh.
try out a few. Some don't, they ghost you. Some call back. Like,
I will say,
it's-
I don't agree with the idea that everybody needs therapy. I don't think that that's remotely accurate. I don't think every person needs therapy. I don't think every child needs therapy.
Well, I don't think
I don't
needs
think
in the way that it's necessary for functioning, but beneficial maybe is a better way to put it. I think everybody can benefit from it.
Get some
Yeah, you
tools in your
can.
toolbox.
Sure,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Generally speaking, I mean, everyone's going to have bad things happen in their life here or there, but I don't. I don't necessarily think you need to pay a therapist to work things out for yourself and get through issues.
Yeah, just listen to Armchair Expert editions. That's what I do.
No, I just mean I
just
think
listen to all the Armchair Expert. I mean, I listen to all of everything, but especially
my
those
my thing
Thursdays.
is because I know there's a lack of providers and it's already hard. People who really need therapy sometimes get stuck waiting because someone who's been in therapy for 5 years still decides to go every week and talk about how their boss was mean to them that week. And it's like, all right, well, at a certain point, I know that might sound harsh, but therapy, both therapists that I've had, the first one I joined, I went for specific reasons to work through things. And at least the good therapists out there will tell you, you're not supposed to be in therapy forever. The goal is usually start out weekly
To get you
and then
out
get
on
to a
your own
point
two
where you,
feet.
No, you start out weekly because you're working through something hard, and then you go usually like bi-weekly because now you're starting to get your feet under you, you're getting coping mechanisms, you're working through the process. And then it kind of goes to monthly, and then eventually a therapist who's not just trying to get money out of you, who's actually trying to help you, will eventually get you to a point where, all right, every couple months let's check in, and then, hey, you've got everything you need to handle these situations in the future. I don't think you need to see me anymore unless something big happens again. Right? So it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a thing you kind of graduate out of. It's not supposed to be like I go every week for the rest of my life sort of
Right.
situation. And,
Yeah, and I don't.
but there's
think that
plenty of people
need
who
to do
use it that way, and I think that kind of bogs down the system, and then you're left with people who are going through a
True.
crisis, and they have no access because they're on a 6-month waiting list because there's people who are still going weekly even though they don't necessarily need it. And you have providers, just like in any field, who are like, I'll keep seeing my clients. I don't care. I get paid, right? Like I keep
Mhm.
billing the hours and they keep coming and it's great. So it's a tricky system for sure, but I
Yeah.
don't think everyone needs therapy, and I don't think everyone should seek it out unless you really, really feel you need it because of that fact. You may be taking a spot from someone else that needs it more. So it's a tricky
mean,
balance.
I would argue that it's hard to say that if you don't need it because it's about your boss being mean to you or whatever, trivializing those experiences, because for some people, those things, like I don't need to go to therapy every 2 weeks, but I do it every year. I have so many that I get through my work. And I think we all grow and evolve as people, right? So things change. The way we deal with situations changes as we change. And so, like, I was actually thinking about this the other day after my therapy session, is like, sometimes it's nice to have a perspective from somebody that is completely neutral. And also, it's more thought provoking than anything. Like, I feel like our conversations help me see things in a different way, that I can be like, oh, yeah, I'm probably not looking at this in a way that is beneficial for me or whatever. And so it helps you grow spiritually and emotionally. And so from that perspective, I do think it is helpful, because if you can do that, even if it is 10 times a year, whatever's free through your work or whatever the situation, that makes you a better person in society. Like, and there's a lot of crazy people that flip out on the streets, they're violent, whatever it is. And I think part of it is not having a way to deal with life. Like, life is stressful. Obviously, we've established the healthcare system sucks. It's hard to get therapy. Everybody's paying a lot of money to live just to get by. Like, there are a lot of factors, and everybody deals with those things differently. So it's hard to like generalize that. Yes, there are people who are severely going through something, but I almost feel like that's where psychology comes into it. Psychologists.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, we're getting the get off your. Maybe we circle back.
I gotta go. My meeting started a minute ago.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm
What
like giving a countdown, like 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and now it's
What a-
the time.
what a
Anyway, sorry we had to
whirlwind
rush that,
episode.
listeners, but
So I
what?
think we should probably check back and like just close the loop on that.
Let's
Yeah.
close the loop now. Therapy is important. See what your job provides. See what your insurance plan covers. Seek out a therapist. Keep trying.
And don't clog the system. Okay, love you guys. Have a great rest of your
Or go to
day.
your
Like,
local
follow,
watering
share.
hole.
Yeah.
Just get drunk. Yeah, why? Why
There
not?
you go.
Toodles.
This is not
Oh my
professional advice.
Chat in the Hat is hosted by Alyssa Stiles and Adriana Marquez. It is produced by me, Joshua Stiles. You can find us on Instagram at Chat in the Hat Pod and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.